Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to the channel, and welcome to a new feature where we are going to be previewing the upcoming season, and specifically each week, those races that are currently slated. This season we're going to be focusing on 5 series where we'll compete every week, 2 of them being NASCAR ovals and 3 road courses. So if you're new to the channel, thanks for coming out. Please consider giving us a like and a subscribe if you enjoyed the content. The first series that we will be focusing on this week as we kick off the 2019 Season 1 is the NASCAR iRacing Class C here at Talladega, driving the Toyota Tundra, sponsored by Tool for Forza. So NASCAR has, or iRacing has decided to kick off week 1 running at Talladega. So let's get this wild card right out of the gate. Talladega and I, we get along pretty well. I've had some success here. I've had some horrible races, just getting caught up in the big one. But this one will be a fun race. Love the truck. Will be a lot of fun here. Probably run this a number of times and just get some good qualifying laps in. Run safe, and then towards the end of the week, battle it out and see what we can get. If we get caught up, we get caught up. But Talladega is a pretty good layout. There's just one part of the track that I'm not a big fan of, and that's coming up to this part here, that inside lane right there. There's a pretty big bump, as you saw, and does upset the truck a little bit. So we'll have to see how that deal with once we're in a pack. But Talladega week 1 in the trucks should be a lot of fun. Next up is the NASCAR iRacing Class B Open, the Xfinity Series. This season we'll be driving the Tool for Forza Ford Mustang, and we kick off the first week here at Chicagoland. Chicagoland will be, I've got some experience here in the trucks early on in my iRacing career, so it's been a while, but I do remember this being a fun track. Learned a lot from it. A lot of bumps in 3 and 4. And as the tires get worn, it will start to get very loose, especially coming off of turn 2. This week's race is 100 laps. Don't anticipate too many cautions due to the large amount of grass on the front and back stretch, but should be a good race, and looking forward to good quality finish out of this one. If we can get a good split, and hope to get at least a top 10, if not a top 5. Next, for the road courses, we're going to be starting off with the VRS GT Sprint, driving the Mercedes-Benz AMG GT3, again sponsored by Tool for Forza. And we are at a new track, new to iRacing, and that is Tsukuba. Tsukuba, I've got a number of races in back in my days in Forza, specifically Forza 4, but it's been a couple years since I've been on this track. So learning curve will still be there. This particular corner right here is a little bit sharper than I remember it, so that's probably my one area that I'm going to need to be concerned with. But the rest of the track is fairly consistent with what I'm used to. Road courses are still a struggle for me, although I'm getting better. I think once I get to my triple unders, I'll have a little bit more comfort around other cars, but still not quite where I want to be with my road racing abilities, so this will be a good one to continue to get my feet wet. It is a single class 40-minute race with nothing but GT3s, so week 1 we'll be kicking it off at Tsukuba. Next, we have a series I'm still a little bit on the fence with, but we're going to run the full season nonetheless, and that is the Fanatec Global GT Series. It is a multi-class event featuring the Cadillac CTS-V, as you can see, which I'll be driving, and the Kia Optima, which is obviously a front-wheel drive slower car than this, so this will be the faster of the 2. This Cadillac is in a fixed setup, so no tuning adjustments other than actually I'm not even sure what setups we can do on this one. I'll have to take a look at it, but it is a fixed build. I have a love-hate with this car. This car is still a little touchy for me. I'll be looking to get some more experience, but I don't have high hopes in this particular event or season. But I'm a big fan of Cadillac, so had to give this a run for at least a full season. So week 1, we are at Lime Rock Park, if you couldn't figure that one out. Another track that I do have some experience in. Will be interesting to see how this plays out with the Kias as we get into lap traffic, and what that will look like. This is a D-class race, so the experience level may not be that high, so this could be a rather bumpy event, but we'll give it a shot this season, and we'll see what we can do with it. Finally, we have the IMSA Sportscar Series, or Championship. This season, we're going to be jumping into the Ferrari 488 GTE. I've done this in previous seasons in the GT3, but we're going to move up in class and join the GTEs. So this will be a first for me driving this car. Week 1, we are at Imola, track I have a lot of fun with. But this season is going to be just feeling out the car, see how it handles around the other cars, and what my speed is like amongst the GT3s. So going to be pretty cautious in this event for the most part. Mainly just want to get some experience, especially early on, and then we will give it a go later on the tracks that I'm more comfortable with. So this Ferrari is a lot of fun. The one thing I got to be concerned about is just locking up the brakes. But other than that, it's pretty stable throughout the rest of it. So as far as Imola is concerned, again, I've done a number of races here. There's a couple corners I'll need to be careful with in just some early testing that I did. But for the most part, should have not a whole lot of drama in it, other than one thing I don't want to have happen is I don't want to get lapped by one of the GT3s or hold up a GT3 leader. So that's the one concern that I have with jumping into this car. But we'll see how it goes. This is a 45-minute race and does require pit stops, so I'm not sure if I'm going to be taking on tires or not for this particular race. We'll have to see how that plays out. But I'll probably run this race a couple times, probably one with a tire change and the other one without. So again, week 1 is at Imola, and we'll be competing first time in the GTE class. So could be a fun race, or it could be a nightmare for 12 weeks, but we'll give it a shot. Finally, for our bonus race, and a bonus race is just looking at the schedule, and if there's a race that's jumping out at me that I want to race in, we'll give it a shot. And for this week's bonus race, if you haven't figured it out, it is none other than the V8 Supercars at Bathurst for 33 laps. Bathurst is one of my favorite tracks. I've raced it a number of times in multiple formats. I have ran the V8 Supercars in Forza at this track, but I did have some assists on. Obviously, in iRacing, no assists, so no ABS, no traction control, and this thing is a beast driving up this thing. So we'll be a little bit cautious just because I want to get through the full 33 laps. And the biggest concern I have is just, as you just saw, locking up the front tires during this race. And obviously the walls will jump out and just destroy your day if you're not careful. So we'll give it a shot. Like I said, first time in this V8 Supercar, and just in doing this lap and some practice laps, I have a total new respect for anybody that can manhandle these beasts around this track, especially coming down this hill. As you can see, it just wants to jump out and kill you at the earliest possible convenience. But our goal is to finish the race, and if time permits, I'll try and run it a second time. But given that this is a bonus race, I only plan on running it one time. I do need to get quality runs in the other 5 events for Season 1. But driving the Ford, not the Holden. No particular reason, just that's the one that I picked. Obviously running my standard tool for Forza colors, and it'll be fun to get to use my sequential shifter as opposed to the paddle shifters of the H pattern. So again, should be a fun race. I would imagine it's going to have a big turnout for this given the location. I'm not sure if there's any other tracks I plan to run in this car, but I do have a couple of the races, bonus races that I plan to run with it. So there you have it. That's our Season 1, Week 1 of 2019 preview. Two NASCAR races, 3 road courses, and this as the bonus. So hope you enjoyed it. If you're new to the channel, please consider giving us a like and a subscribe, and we'll see what we can do this week. Thanks again for coming out.